Back by popular demand, episode number 2 with Kelly Burnside. Hello, and welcome to the My Father Said podcast, where we discuss all things faith, finance, and family. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan. I'm both a father and a son.
Me, I'm Robert, his dad.
And I'm Kelly Burnside. I'm a mother and a daughter.
And you're your father's son. Good job. That's good. How many times have we done this intro?
Yeah, I thought about that. I went, and I'm his dad. And then there was that moment of silence.
Who's our dad?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you're joining us and you watched a couple of our podcasts so far, this is the second time we have had Kelly Burnside on. Kelly is a personal injury attorney here in the Midlands, and she's going to talk to us today about protecting assets, and then if we're lucky, we're going to hear some stories. So with that, we'll go ahead and get into it.
All right.
So Kelly, after we did our first podcast, we kind of hung around and we started asking questions, hey, what's the process if I'm at fault and I hurt somebody? Can they come after my retirement? And unfortunately, we didn't have the camera rolling. So could we just relive that conversation?
Sure. Yes. So depending on how bad you hurt somebody or whether you there's punitive damages or not, they can come after everything you own. Yes.
Oh,
so
everything.
Probably everything. Yes.
Even my dog?
Probably not your dog.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen someone ask for somebody else's dog. But
Nothing living. Other than
I mean, just think about like the Murdochs. I mean, they went after everything.
Oh, wow.
They were going through his retirement. I mean, they were trying to liquidate all of his assets. So,
how likely is it a situation happens, someone's getting sued, they don't have adequate insurance? How likely is it, or how often do you see people actually lose either their homes or their retirement assets?
It can definitely happen, depending on how bad the motor vehicle accident is, because hospital bills, can get to be outrageous. And in South Carolina, the minimum limits are $25,000 per person, so that doesn't cover a whole lot. So if an attorney finds out that, let's say you got $400,000 or $500,000 in medical bills, and they only have minimum limits of $25,000, but they have a house, they have retirement account, they have a beach house, they're going to come after that. They're not going to settle for the minimum limits when they know they can force, to get your assets. So
I've heard something one time, and I don't know how factual it is, so maybe you can answer it for me. I saw something where it was if you got a certain amount of equity in your home, they can only come after part of that equity, or is that?
So you're kind of getting into probably judgments, whether you have a judgment against you, and I don't
be different.
Do a whole lot of judgments, but there is a percentage to where, yes, if you don't have a whole lot of equity, they cannot go after your home that you're living in to enforce a judgment or to pay or to satisfy that judgment.
Okay.
But if you don't have a mortgage or if you have a lot of equity, I can't remember the amount. I think it's $120,000 or something worth of equity. But if you don't have that much, they won't come after you. But if you do have a lot of equity, they can force the sale of your home. But I don't do judgments, so
They can force you to sell your house.
right.
Holy.
If you have a judgment against you.
Yeah. So now, is that the same for criminal versus negligence, or is there any difference, or is that even a legitimate question?
Well, so there is a difference. Like, I don't practice criminal law, and criminal is completely separate. If you're going after somebody for like restitution for criminal charges, that would be you go through a solicitor. You have to file a police report.
Murder.
Right, but they also have a civil side to that. So the civil can incorporate criminal actions, but it's in civil court, not criminal court.
So here's another question too for clarity. There's lawsuits and then there's judgments.
Right.
Right. And then you can have like a civil or a criminal lawsuit. Can you have a civil or criminal judgment?
Normally judgments are civil.
Okay.
So,
all right.
yeah.
Perfect.
And so it was, and I don't practice criminal. So, I don't, that's a solicitor if you, or a prosecutor, if you're going to do criminal law. But with a civil judgment, that is when after either you've gone into default and you have a really large judgment against you because you didn't answer the complaint, or it's a judgment because a jury has awarded a large verdict against you. So it's not just a lawsuit, it's kind of the ending of that lawsuit if it doesn't settle or if nothing happens to it.
Okay, I don't know if I'm missing something or I have misheard something in the past.
Probably.
O.J. Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever he had that civil suit against him, didn't I hear that they went after everything he had? It was on the table with the exception of his NFL pension.
That was a little bit before my time.
Well, I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but
So I don't remember that.
you know
right-
who O.J.
I do, but I wasn't paying
We know he's
attention
innocent.
because I was probably in middle school when that trial was going on. But there's probably something with the pension that's got language that is judgment. I would assume, I'm just guessing here, that's why they couldn't do the pension, is there could be how the pension was written. But normally everything's on the table, but it could be pensions. I mean, they hardly even have pensions anymore, do you?
I only know what you just said because I'm sitting here thinking, she just said that was before her time.
I remember it, but I wasn't like following it because I was in school. So.
You don't remember Bruffle going down
Oh,
there?
I know that, but I was like in probably
You
middle school.
remember if it doesn't fit, you must have quit.
I do remember that. I do remember that. But I probably wasn't allowed to watch the whole trial because I was definitely in school.
Hey, let me know go.
We did not. I'm surprised we didn't study that case in law school. That would have been an interesting case.
He used to run through the airports where a Hertz commercial and
Yeah.
jump in with luggage and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neither one of y'all know.
No.
I
Well, that's your fault. You should have had kids sooner. What do you want from me?
I don't believe this. Gosh, we're getting too old for podcasts. The whole generation has no idea who I'm bringing up.
no, I definitely know O.J. Simpson.
What is an O.J. Simpson?
No, I definitely know O.J. Simpson. I definitely remember the Bronco being on TV, like us huddle around the TV,
So let me ask you a question. There's no surefire way to like prevent lawsuits or accidents or anything like that. But if I have got assets, I've got a home, I've got vehicles, I've got retirement assets, what is the best way to protect that, or I guess hedge my bets against getting sued and losing everything?
I would say make sure you have really good motor vehicle accidents. I think a lot of people have damages because they're in a bad motor vehicle accident. And so you can protect yourself by having large limits, and also you can get $1 million or, million or multi-million-dollar umbrella policy. That will also help protect you. So making sure you have the good motor vehicle accidents. Also, if you're a business owner, make sure you have general liability insurance. So if someone slips and falls on your premise, that insurance will come in. If you're an employer, making sure you have workers' comp insurance. So if one of your employees is injured, they're going after your carrier and not you personally for those damages. So really, insurance is the only way to hedge, in my opinion, a lot of those.
That makes sense. Is there anything in the law that if I'm suing Robert, and I decide to go after Robert's insurance as opposed to his assets, is there anything preventing me from getting the settlement from the insurance and then turning around and suing him personally for what happened?
Most of the time you have to sign a covenant not to execute. You have to sign something to get the money from the insurance company to say that you will not go after Robert's personal assets.
Yeah. So the insurance is a no-brainer, because let's say Dad's got $500,000 in his retirement account, and that's all the assets he's got. Mm-hmm. But he's also got $1 million umbrella policy. Well, if I'm suing him, I'm going to go after the umbrella policy because I can get almost double what he's got in the retirement account.
Right. And it's easier, for whatever reason, it's way easier to go after the insurance company than to go after his personal assets.
Good.
I thought this podcast was about protecting against lawsuits. The questions you're asking are about how can we?
Hey, me and Kelly are going to figure out how to sue you or Scott, and then we're going to just split the money. Unless that's illegal, then we won't do that.
I try not to go looking for lawsuits. I want them to come to me.
Yeah, hey, yeah, you picked the wrong industry. You're looking for lawsuits.
I don't partake in insurance fraud.
Neither do we.
Like, oh my goodness.
And the other thing you have to be careful of is you want to make sure you're protecting your assets in death too. That's a lot of disputes that I see are from siblings, from cousins, from sister and siblings. If the person doesn't have any heirs, is if someone doesn't have a will, no one knows how they want their assets to be split up. And so, estate probate can almost be as much drama as domestic cases.
Oh my gosh.
So,
yeah, you just got through with probate. How long was that process?
I'm still waiting for the letter to come from the courts saying everything is sealed and done. And the sad thing about this was my mom's estate when she passed, and my brother and I were co-executors, and literally Mom had, upon the time of her passing, less than $1,000 to her name, and the house that she no longer lived in because she was in a nursing home. And I cannot imagine dealing with a large estate in probate.
Yeah.
Because this small estate was as complex as anything I believe I've ever had to have my foot involved in. And at the end of the year, I mean, there's really nothing. There's nothing there. We're just closing the estate.
right.
That's all it is, just closing it.
As of today, this podcast, how long have y'all been in that probate?
We're probably 15 months. 16 months.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. Supposedly we got everything done. Supposedly. And I was told I was going to receive a letter from the judge by the end of August stating that the estate is closed. And we're now going close to October, and I've seen no letter.
Well, it's government for
It
it.
could be closed, though. Sometimes they forget to send those letters.
Isn't that nice?
So let me ask you this. You, on top of doing your personal injury, you can help with estate documents, or am I making that?
Well, I do probate, yes.
Okay. So let me ask you this. In your opinion, how expensive would it be for someone to get a will set up or a trust set up, or both of those set up?
It just depends. It depends. A will is normally a pretty simple, cheap document, but they can get complicated if but if you're putting in a report of a trust, I mean, they can get, but a lot of your basic will is not that expensive, probably less than $500. Trust, or I don't do trust. Trust, they can range from $5,000 to $10,000. I mean, trusts are more complicated, and so that can cost more too.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, you got to think about it. Sure, that's expensive, but you pay $10,000 for a will and a trust, and you've got everything set up. You don't have to deal with any of those problems. Your family doesn't have to deal with anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's some trusts you can set up that actually protect your assets as well.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, but again, I don't do trust, so you'd have to go to a estate planner and do a trust. But there's definitely some trusts you can set up that will help shield your assets as well.
That's cool.
Yeah. Does that shield your assets prior to death?
Yeah, both. But yeah, both.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's good. Now that I know that you're thinking of suing your father, I think.
Hey, listen, I'm trying to sue anybody I can.
After we go off here, give me a name, if you don't mind, that I can call and make sure I got stuff protected from him.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so let me ask you this before we get into the stories. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you think is just, hey, we didn't cover this, but we absolutely need to?
Didn't cover it either today or the last time.
Or the last time you were here, yeah?
Well, there's some tricks, to make sure you're judgment proof, but I don't, a lot of them, for instance, if your house is in you and your wife's name, that's pretty much judgment proof. So, they can't make you sell your house if you have it in both people's names. So that's one thing that protects married couples. So if you're doing something wrong, your wife is still protected, things like that. So,
all right, same situation. Husband and wife are married. the house is deeded to their trust, can they go after the house?
So
Again, that's a state, yeah.
it's sort of outside my, what I deal with, but I would assume no, but it really depends on those trust documents. And and that's why you want to go to an attorney that deals a lot in trust, if that's your goal, is to protect those assets, because there are certain documents that they can do to do that. You might lose control of those assets.
Sure, yeah. But they can't go after. Your alternative is just to not own anything, right?
That is then your judgment proof. Right.
Proof.
Yeah. But I think the simple thing, if you have really good homeowners insurance and automobile, insurance, that's going to protect you. But in a case like the Murdochs, he could have had his, it doesn't matter how much insurance he had. That was, his actions are not going to be under insurance. So it depends on what. But if you're just talking about simple negligence where you go out and maybe, hopefully you don't, DUIs are the most common that I see, that people can go after other people's assets because it's punitive in nature. So as long as you're not doing that and you're just driving down the road and maybe you look to find your phone and you swerve off the road, right? That's still negligence. And so your automobile insurance should cover you on that as long as you have plenty of insurance. And that's why I would get that umbrella policy. It's good for that.
Yeah, and it makes, out of everything we've talked about, probably the trusts and the wills would be the most expensive. But I mean, like, increasing those policy limits and then getting the umbrella policy, that's...
I had an umbrella policy, and it wasn't that much more.
Yeah, it's such a no-brainer, and it protects so much.
Yeah,
it does.
So in your specialty, your law specialty, how often do you come across a Murdoch type mindset in someone trying to rip off the system?
I don't know that I've ever come across that. I mean, like, not to that level, I don't, I might have had a one or two people throughout the years that I was like, I don't think this is a real case, and I deny it, don't take it. But it's not very often. I think most people, it's interesting in workers' comp in South Carolina, they deny, over 50% of the people, they deny saying, they deny the claims. And I don't find that to be true at all. I think out of my 10 years doing practice, I think I've had maybe one person that I was like, I think they're lying. I think they got hurt on purpose at work. and that's out of 10 years, like one person. So it's amazing to me that these carriers will deny, over 50% of injured workers, when, in my opinion, I've hardly had any, just maybe one that I can think of that I think she kind of did it on purpose. I still don't think she was lying because she still got hurt, but I think she injured herself on purpose, Yeah. Yes. So,
if I would injure myself on purpose to get a suit, I'm going to make sure I'm not hurting from the injury, because I want to enjoy the suit.
Right. Most people out on workers' comp do not want to be out on workers' comp. They want to be back to work. They don't like being at home. It's a long process healing, and they kind of go stir crazy. I mean, So,
yeah, that's a true story. Yeah, that's a true story. That little bit of time I was out for my little injury I had, I was just out a month from the office, and I had to get away from myself.
Don't lie, you enjoyed it. It was a free trial to retirement. You were kicking up. Office was running.
Well, I was doing some of that too. But, after, you could only watch so many Turner Classic movies before they start repeating.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get to it. Kelly,
okay.
We have been dying. Tell us some stories, if you can, of just crazy stuff you've seen, crazy cases, or any just, big payouts.
There's this lady, and this is a workers' comp case, and she was a pole digger for like utility companies. So she's digging lines for the utility company. Okay.
Can you give us the address of the utility company and the name?
I cannot. And she was stung by a bee. Within an hour, they had to rush her to the hospital.
No.
Because she had an allergic reaction to it. She ended up having cardiac arrest. She had brain damage and then respiratory duress. She's okay. She's recovering. She was in the hospital over a month.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And at first I was like, this is going to be a really hard case to prove, right? She got stung by a bee and actually texted her boss and was like, oh my gosh, I just got stung by a bee. And then she literally fainted and passed out. And so the boss was able to tell them, I think this is, and they figured it out at the hospital too, that this is a reaction to the bee sting.
Hell.
So it's not, I mean, it's just crazy how something like that can happen to somebody. You don't even know. Have you been stung by a bee before?
Wow.
Okay, so you know you're not allergic. I mean, there's, so of course, if you don't know, you don't have one of those EpiPens or anything like that, too, if you've never been stung by a bee. But, I mean, it's going to take her months to recover. I mean,
That was an actual lawsuit.
it's a workers' comp claim.
Workers' comp.
Yeah, you can't sue the bee. I mean, it's not a...
I was wondering. That's what I'm thinking, well, who do you sue?
No, but in South Carolina, we, is as much as it can be frustrating to deal with workers' comp law, South Carolina, we do have a really good workers' comp agency where you don't have to prove fault. You just have to prove that someone was injured on the job, doing the job that they're supposed to do. And that's what she was doing. She was, working, doing her job. So it used to be before workers' comp code came out, you'd have to prove negligence, and they kind of did away with all that. And so workers' comp is a really unique system, and it's very different in every state.
Well, let me ask, I know you got a story to tell, but I'm going to take this bee story a different angle.
Okay.
So this lady is driving to work
Okay.
and gets stung by the bee.
Okay. It depends. Most likely not, unless she is a delivery lady and she's on the job driving from 2 different places that she delivers stuff to.
All right. She has driven to work. She's on work grounds, but has not yet clocked in and gets stung by the bee.
So I know the answer. If she was leaving work after she clocked out, we could most likely still get her benefits with that if she was like in the parking lot leaving. And so there's a coming to going rule on that. And so if she's, if she's in the parking lot, there's probably a good chance that, yes, we could get her benefits.
That is incredible. Yeah. That is incredible.
Because she wouldn't have been there had not there to be to work.
Cardiac arrest and brain damage.
Yeah.
From a bee sting. That's wild.
Yeah. And hopefully she'll make a full recovery from the brain damage. At least, yeah. But that's from the not being able to breathe.
Oh, yeah.
It swells, so.
What, if you can tell us this age range of this lady?
Younger than me, in her mid-30s. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, we thought you were in your high 20s.
I'm 40.
Yeah.
But thank
Yeah. He says that now after he's like, you remember OJ, right?
Yeah.
At 40, that you don't know who OJ runs. Oh, yeah. It's incredible. So that one turned out okay, or is still in the process?
It's still in the process.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's on the right track.
Good.
So,
Well, good deal.
yeah.
Good.
What else you got?
Give us
So another one that's kind of similar, which is kind of crazy, but this person got a cut at work. Didn't think much about it. Day later, he was in the hospital and he ended up having flesh-eating disease, and they almost amputated his arm. Yeah, bizarre. So
What is flesh-eating disease exactly? Is that
it's a really
green?
no, it's
It's a bacteria.
Yeah, it's a bacteria, and it gets into the cut. And I have actually, my godfather was at hunting, and they actually amputated his left arm, and he's passed since now. But because he got a cut hunting, and he got the same thing. By the time they went to the hospital, they couldn't do anything. They had to take his arm.
Oh my gosh.
It happens.
That fast?
It's very fast. If you don't catch it within, it's very fast. They had told my client if he had waited an hour more to go to the hospital, they would have taken his arm. Yeah. It's very fast. It's flu-like symptoms. So if you get a cut and you start, it'll start to throb wherever the cut is, if it's on your hand, where it'll start to throb and you'll feel like, oh, this feels like it's infected. Don't just dismiss that. Pay attention to it, because if you start getting a fever, you should go on and go to the emergency room, and then they can give you some strong antibiotics and you can recover from that. But they see it mostly with hunters, or if you're fighting, people like fighting down in 5 Points and they're on the concrete and get scraped up, they could get it that way. That was another story that I'd heard that somebody had gotten it, but, bacteria.
That's only in 5 Points.
Well,
That's where Granddad was hunting. Or Godfather was hunting was on 5 Points.
Well, if I would get into an altercation, it would.
I just see her out, I remember altercations happening, but they don't happen anywhere. So yeah, you gotta be careful. And the main thing with that is, if you start getting flu-like symptoms and you've had us cut, go to the ER. I'm gonna end up going there all the time now.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a cut and be like, I gotta go to the
I gotta go there.
I feel it. It's all in my head, but I feel it.
So from the time he got cut in the woods to the actual amputation of his arm, how much time was that?
I think it was 24 hours. Yeah.
Great day in the morning.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And you see, I'm the guy that's going to sit there. I get myself cut. I'm gonna try to wrap it up, and it ain't so bad.
Well, I think if you, and I could be wrong, I'm not a doctor, but I think the problem is if you don't clean it properly right when it happens entering the woods, that could have added, but it might not have. It could have just been from the cut. I mean, I don't know if he cleaned it. I was younger at the time when it happened. So,
All right.
yeah.
In both cases, with your godfather and the person that cut himself at work, were they like small cuts, or was it like a deep?
Got deep, but they were small. Yeah. And so I'm not sure, it's not like it was something you'd have to bandage up. I mean, they were not very large.
What?
Yeah. I mean, the one that's the case was deep, but it wasn't large. Yeah. But it only takes a little bit of that bacteria to get in.
Oh,
Yeah.
I need to go take a shower. I can feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm throbbing all over the place.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I don't know what's going on here. Well, so let me ask you this. And I like to ask these questions because sometimes the bizarre shows up and you weren't expecting it. You could not have scheduled it, and you certainly could not rehearse it, because if you did, none of it would be bizarre. And so we've had a couple of bizarre instances in my 30 plus years of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not very frequent. But I guess in your profession, is there anything bizarre that you've seen come inside your office that was presented to you as, hey, this is an actual case, or did it come to you and you're like, dude, no, get out of here? Anything bizarre?
oh yeah. I mean, I've definitely had some bizarre cases that I didn't think was a case, especially when it comes to fighting. It's really hard. I've had people where they've used the automobile to run over somebody for, and I can work with that now. I mean,
Or who, the driver of the automobile?
no, the one that got ran over. But there are limits to that. The courts have, you might be limited to the minimum limits on the policy because it's an intentional act. I mean, there's a lot of, different limits, but
Who might be limited if it's an intentional act?
your recovery.
So the person who got ran over
Yeah.
is limited because it was intentional on the other person's part.
Yes. Well, it's only limited with the insurance company. You could still go after the driver's assets. Most people,
Is that
I'm making a judgment here, but a lot of people that run people over with cars don't have a lot of assets, but that's probably a bad judgment to make. And the ones that I've had, they did not have assets.
I mean,
But
that's fair.
that's only the ones that I've had.
Every time that I've ever tried to run somebody over with my car, I didn't have any money at the time. So, I mean, that makes sense.
So you're only limited with the amount the insurance company, will pay out.
There's been times I've been laying under the car at the house, with it jacked up doing some work, and your mom is out there pushing against the car, you know.
Fall.
Yeah, I mean,
I need a pull.
Well, you know, the problem with that is your homeowners won't cover you if you get in.
cover me.
Yeah.
I'm the one under the car.
I know.
Yeah. So, well, God,
Yeah, you won't be there to worry about it.
that's a bit. I'd be gold. So it's squished.
And then I've had a case where somebody was driving in a car and shot bullets out of the car and hit somebody. And those are tough cases too, because they try to deny those. But if they're using the automobile in the pursuit while they're shooting, there's some coverage there that you can get. You're same thing. You're kind of limited.
Wait a minute. So, if you're pursuing someone shooting at them, that is with intent.
Yes.
But if you're just riding down the road shooting out the window to get somebody,
Oh, I've never had that. I've had it with they
Go do it.
purposely trying to do it. But you're right. There's probably a bystander that could easily get hit with that too. So, yeah.
that's crazy.
But yeah, no, not both. One was a drug deal that went wrong, and then the other one was, I think, almost like a domestic dispute kind of thing. Like,
Wait a minute. There was a drug deal that went wrong, and then they went and sought legal counsel?
so, well, yes, because I handle the estate, the mother. Yeah. So the drug deal went wrong. They left the house. The drug dealer jumped in the car, pursued them, shooting out his car at them. A stray bullet hit my lady's daughter in the back seat, and so I handled the estate of it, and then we got all the coverage that we could on that. So, but I mean, so it happens. Like,
So, but that's not considered criminal, or
well, there's a criminal suit too, but I don't handle the criminal part.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's still locked up. Yeah. Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
What a world we live in.
Yeah, I'm thinking I should have been a lawyer. Yeah, just like prosecuting attorney, and just be involved in some of these things.
Type A personality. You probably would have done well with that.
Yeah, they're all guilty. I can
Yeah. They're all, everyone up. Sir, he's your client. He's guilty too.
lock him up. I should make this case.
Lock him up. Then we're paying for all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then your taxes are so much
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah, but see, I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna go there. All right. Well, Ryan, anything else?
I think that is it, Kelly, unless there's any parting thoughts that you would like to leave us or our listeners.
Well,
Ask her about the website.
if you
Oh, yeah. Tell us about your
all
husband's
right, so
website.
if you happen to have a Cybertruck and you would like to wrap it yourself, you can check out my husband's website. It is cybertruckwraps.us, and he's got some videos on there, and he can show you how to wrap your own Cybertruck, and you can also buy the film to wrap it on there. So we're excited. That's a little new project that we're doing.
Just full of surprises.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a question, though. We're going back to the cars running over people or people running over each other in cars. Teslas have that self-driving feature.
Right.
What happens if I'm driving a Tesla and it just runs over?
So those are going to be some interesting lawsuits. But one thing is our Cybertruck is bulletproof. So if someone's chasing me with a gun, I feel very safe in that truck. But the self-driving, I don't know. There have been
Was that a feature that attracted you when you were purchasing? Hey, we might be shot at.
Not exactly, but I am a little, I'm not going to say I'm a doomsday prepper, but I do border on, I want to be prepared. I want to have a plan, if in case all craziness comes out, because I see a lot of craziness. So, but that wasn't the only feature. No, it's got a lot of cool features to it. So, but
That was one of them.
that was one of them. Yeah. It can also go under, 2 or 3 feet of water and still drive. So yeah, it almost comes. It doesn't.
Have you tried it out?
Yeah, we were down at Merle's Inlet. My parents have a house down there, and so the inlet was so high on a big high tide, and we were able to raise it up and go right through it.
Oh, you didn't go under the water.
No, we're the water. The the car, you actually hit a button and it just raises up. It's just like that.
Yeah.
And then you drive through, and it's got an off-road mode too. It'll self-drive off-road.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So, like Ryan was saying, you've got one of these vehicles. It is self-driving, and it runs over Joe Blow in the street who wouldn't get out the way, and you're sitting over there not driving. Who is being held responsible?
I would sue everyone. I would sue Elon Musk. I would sue Tesla. I would sue the driver. You just name them all and let them fight out and see who's responsible. Because those are going to be some interesting suits if they happen. But, you know, Elon Musk and Tesla have put so much technology into this. And I actually believe that human error is probably worse than the technology, because they're trying it a lot with these big trucks that they do that haul merchandise. And if you think about it, I mean, human error, these truckers that haven't rested, they haven't slept right or anything like that, or you look down on your phone or whatever, you're more likely to get in a wreck. Where self-driving, he's got cameras all around it. It's just a lot of technology. He's had to go through a lot of testing. But if it does happen, I am sure the first time it happens, they're going to name everybody in that lawsuit to try to figure out who is the cause.
Yeah, but didn't you watch the movie I, Robot?
I watched Wall-E.
And you seen where Will Smith did not trust the robots, and the robots started acting because the big robot went, there, we're taking over because these people cannot control their appetites. So we're taking over. And then all of a sudden, the human was fighting the robots.
That's why I have a bulletproof truck. So I can be safe from those robots. Because it's coming one way or the other, right? Well, the technology is there, so.
Well, that's fun. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. We enjoyed it as always. This was a good episode. If you are listening and you would like to learn more about Kelly Burnside, we can put her information in the video. Feel free to contact her. If you've ran somebody over or you plan to run someone over, she's the go-to attorney. And with that being said, I'm Ryan.
Wait a minute.
No, if you've been run over.
If you've been run over.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Not if you're planning on running over. If you're planning to get ran over, go see her.
Wow, we just butchered that in. Anyway, so he's Ryan, and he's contemplating how to run over someone.
Probably you.
I'm Robert, his dad. He's already stated he's after my assets. And Kelly is coming here, and she's giving him all kinds of information and ammunition to use. But don't try to take it out on Kelly, because she's got a bulletproof vehicle. and here we are. This podcast today did not go anywhere near where I thought we were going to go today, but it's been interesting. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, he's Ryan. She's Kelly. Robert, this is the My Father Said podcast. Check us out again.
The opinions voiced in this video are for general information only and are not specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance reference is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful.